So we've covered enough content in the Java language to be able to work with a little programming challenge now. So if you've completed or mostly completed an Algebra 1 course, you are familiar with what are called quadratic equations, quadratic functions, and these are all functions in the form f of x equals a times x squared plus b times x plus c. Usually when we are working with these equations, it's actually the ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. And sometimes we want to solve these, but for this challenge, we're not going to focus on solving it, but we're going to be looking for a property, and that property is called the discriminant. And the discriminant is a number we can calculate based on these variables or these constants, these coefficients a, b, and c. So a, b, and c are going to give us a number called the discriminant, and the discriminant tells us a little bit about the solutions or the roots to this quadratic equation. We're going to focus more on what the number of the discriminant means in a future challenge, most likely. But for right now, we just want to calculate the discriminant. And there's a formula for the discriminant. The discriminant is given by b squared minus 4 times a times c. And I've written it here, not really in Java syntax, so when you go to implement this, you'll need to figure out how to best write it in Java yourself. But that's kind of what the function is going to do. It's going to just calculate the discriminant and tell us what it is. In my app.java, you can see I'm down to about line 68 right now. I've actually already written all the code for this to run. And so the challenge I'm going to pose is I'm going to run this program a couple of times, and your program should try to mimic my output as closely as possible. So let's go ahead and run this. When I run it, I'm just going to say run Java, compiling, resolving, okay? So my program says we're going to calculate the discriminant of a quadratic function. Consider a quadratic function in the form a times x squared plus b times x plus c equals 0. The discriminant is given by d equals b squared minus 4 times a times c. Then there is a blank line, and we are asked to enter a value for a. So I'm going to enter the value 1. For b, I'm going to say 0. And for c, I'm going to enter negative 25. Okay, so if this were a quadratic function, it would be x squared minus 25, because a is 1, b is 0, and c is negative 25. Then we get a blank line, and it says the discriminant for 1, 0, and negative 25 is 100. So there's one test case for you right there. To get 1, 0, negative 25 to output 100. Let's run it again. And let's try a is 1, b is 1, and c is 1. And we get 1 and 1 and 1 give us negative 3. We'll run it again. Okay, and we'll say that a is 1. We'll say that b is negative 10. And we'll say that c is 25. And we get the number 0. Run it one more time. And we'll get, let's say, 1, let's say, positive 10 and 25. And we get the answer is 0 again. I'm going to clear out the display, so I'll leave these up for just a second. I'm going to clear this out. We'll run it again. And let's try a is negative 1. We'll say that b is negative 1 and c is negative 1. And we get the answer is negative 3. and maybe one more time. We'll pick a number, we'll say 2, 7, and -10 gives us positive 129. So there's about 4 or so test cases there. And notice that every time we have these 3 lines of text, just these 3 right here, followed by a blank line, followed by 3 lines where we're asked for the values, then another blank line, and then one more line with the output. And the output tells us what the 3 inputs were, as well as the output. Notice that even though I was inputting integers, all of the outputs appear to be doubles. So this should work with doubles. So let's do one test case just so that we have it with doubles to make sure it still works. 1.1, 2.2, 3.3, and that does work, and we get -9.68. So that's all you're seeing in this video. The next video will be a solution to this challenge. So make sure you don't move on to the next video until you have finished working on the challenge.